So what was really fun about Lion was seeing, but it was also fun about the Man in New Infinity,
Aha.
was seeing a grown-up Dev Patel.
Whoa.
You know, because we watched you grow up in a way. You were 17 years old when you made Slumdog.
Yep.
And how old are you now?
I'm 26.
Ah.
Yeah.
So this gave you a role that was really juicy, something you could run with.
Yeah.
What did you think when you first read it?
Man, it's, kind of the role that I've been yearning so long for. It what you say is, to be able to, you have all these desires as an actor, to want to be able to portray an emotion, show people your versatility and all those kind of things, but you can only go so far with the roles that you're given sometimes. You have to wait till it's invented or there on the page, and this came along, and for someone like me, they don't come along, they're not like this all the time.
You are a rather successful movie star.
No.
If you look at your box office numbers, you have Slumdog, you have those exotic marigold hotels. You're in a lot of things that have done very well.
Yeah, I mean, again, all those ones are very unlikely hits. Marigold on, we didn't realize it was going to become a sequel, or Slumdog was going to go straight to DVD. People have really responded to the humanity in them, and I think that's what's made me really understand to trust my instincts on the film roles I want to go for. It has to have a joy behind it. It has to have a real authentic, kind of triumph to it, which is what I really enjoy watching myself. But
this one sure has that. I mean, this one had me weeping buckets. I was like losing it completely.
It's a stunning script. It really is, and I've never read anything like it. I was a puddle of tears once I'd finished, and when I got the role after some extensive auditioning, I called up my manager and said, I don't want to work for 8 months. Don't send me anything. Don't distract me. I want to fully commit to this because that's what it demands. These people are incredible. This journey is incredible, and the relationships are still evolving. So we have to do everything we can to do it justice. And it was 8 months of physical training, of dialect coaching. My poor dialect coach knew the script better than I did.
Tell me how many accents you've mastered at this stage.
Not many at all.
You've done different ones.
One or two, but Aussie was the hardest for sure. Yeah, it's so easy to go overboard with it, sound a bit Crocodile Dundee. So to make it organic and honest is very difficult.
So were you aiming at what Nicole and is his name?
David
Wenham.
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about it with Garth, because Saru's got a much thicker accent, but we wanted to keep the family sounding the same, and make it palatable to everyone and not too distracting or jarring, but also distinctly Australian, So yeah, it was a long process. And
was Nicole helpful?
They were just supportive, yeah. And I don't think I offended them with it, so that's good. Yeah.
That's good too.
Yeah.
But you two have some pretty intense scenes together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That scene that everyone is referring to, where she opens up about why she adopted those two boys, is so powerful. And she, it was the first scene we did together. And entering that space, it was like sacred. She was sitting on that chair looking at the sea, and she was in it. She's acting from a place of absolute honesty, because she's a mother herself who's adopted children. So I was lucky to have a front row seat to that, and I tried to be a good doubles partner, but most of it was watching her and being completely enthralled. Yeah.
Well, the question of being able to use someone who's real as a model for what you do, it's an interesting one in a movie, because you had access to the real guy.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to necessarily perform an act of mimicry, obviously.
Yeah, that's important to me, because I'm not a good mimic, and it'd be soul destroying for me to go in every day and try and mimic someone.
Well, luckily none of us know what he's like, so
Yeah,
it's not a
well,
problem.
you'll see he's going to be here, but that's not what it's about. We're not. Sometimes a movie is not about photocopying something that already exists. You know, it's not. It's actually about making sure you do justice to the essence. You know, who can, you know, and I honestly felt I know I can really relate to this man, to his core. I know what it's like to have shunned part of my heritage and part of my history for a long time, and then go and discover it. I did it on Slumdog. I discovered India for the first time.
You were born in England.
I was born in England, yeah. And Saru, down to the cricket team he supported, was through and through an Aussie. And that's an interesting dichotomy of the character. Sunny, this wonderful young child who plays the first hour of the movie, is the Indian Saru, you know, and he spends the beginning of the film running away from danger and ducking and diving and adapting and surviving. And then you come to this still older man, this Australian, and all these memories have been festering, and slowly they just consume him until he can't function in his day-to-day life in the same charming way you first see him, happy in school, you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
So did you check out Google Earth, and were you familiar with that?
I had Google Earth practice. Yeah, I did. They actually had found a programmer that could replicate what it was like in 2008.
Because it doesn't exist now.
Yeah, not 2008. So
then.
when it was then. Sorry, I got the date wrong, but it was completely so much slower. The refresh rates were terrible, and it was just big, square, blurry pixels. So the fact that Saru could gather so much information from these pixels and so much history, it's just a testament to his memory. Yeah.
So did you go back there again in this case? You didn't have to for the movie, but you
India.
did. Actually,
of course,
you did.
Yeah.
So talk about that, the ending and how you shot that scene in the village.
So the end scene is the first scene I shot in the movie.
Oh.
So I after all that prep, you know, I went out to India a couple of weeks early to watch the children, and Garth had me go through this entire process of isolation, and, you know, travel from Indore to Bhopal on the trains, writing diaries about my experiences, looking at the vista change, going to orphanages, and I would just watch them on set, the family perform, Priyanka and Sunny, and try and take those scenes and make them my own memories. So
that was smart.
When I'm in Australia, I can relate to it because I've seen it, so I've always felt it. I feel the heat in the room, what everything looks like. And then the end scene, Garth comes up to me when I land, and he's like, you know, as a little sperm, you've been swimming up to this moment, so don't mess it up. And I'm like, oh, well, thanks. He meant it in a humorous tone, but I was terrified. But, you know, me and Priyanka generated a really close friendship, and then before we shot that, we weren't allowed to spend time together for a week or something. And then the next time I saw her was in the scene on action, and I see her at this distance, and she's got this incredible, intricate makeup on, and you know, it was as honest as it could be. You know, we were both pregnant with emotion, and all those people around us, when none of them were actors, it was all real villagers from around there, and they were completely responding to a feeling because they don't understand what I'm saying, they don't understand the English that I'm speaking, and you just started to see them start to perform with us, and it's like Avatar, they all started reaching forward and touching my face and crying when I'm crying and whooping and hollering, and it was this joyous moment. And then there's that lightning bolt that hits him when he finds out in that joy that, you know, his brother didn't make it. Spoiler alert. I should have said that before, but it's such a hard thing to ride that last scene, and they were there with us, and it's, as an actor, to have that such a truthful moment was a real joy.
Yeah, nice. Well, part of what we're talking about here is you had a good director. So
most of what we're talking about. Yeah.
I'm amazed that this is his first feature film. What was it like?
Well, that's out of choice. Garth has
He's a commercials director, right?
Yeah. But that, you know, people look at that like it's a lower thing, but actually,
not at all. People learn a lot from that.
But he's completely mastered it. He was the best commercials director in Australia, and he shot Top of the Lake and all those things, and he was just waiting to find the right movie. You know, with a commercial you can go in and it takes less time to work on. For a movie, it takes years of your life. So when you talk to him, you'll understand he just wanted to commit his every fibre to the right thing. And and as you see when you watch the movie, he's more than capable. He's got such a technical knowledge of the craft and visual taste, but as a human, he's so soulful and incredible. Yeah.
So how else did he help you prepare? I mean, did you do rehearsals?
Yeah. None of it was reading lines or going through scenes. It was all to do with chemistry building.
With the other actors?
Yeah.
So you also did this movie, The Man in New Infinity, this year, which I loved.
Thank you.
You know, and was again impressed with this sort of mature version of you. So because you know you were a little goofy in those.
I still am really goofy.
Those other movies, you know, you were playing comedy roles in effect. You know, the Marigold movies especially.
Yeah.
And you're very good at that.
Thank you.
But this is a different kind of thing.
Yeah. It was. I mean, Marigold. Everyone compares that, but you know, Marigold was. I was pinching from Peter Sellers and Fawlty Towers, and he was just this weird comedic creation. It wasn't really based on a single person, so I knew I had more in the tank. You just, again, like I said, you have to wait for the right role, and Infinity was a great opportunity. It was a film that Matt Brown, the director, had struggled for 10 years to get off the ground, and they sent it to me. And the script was powerful, but it wasn't in the best shape. But I could notice that the scenes that worked really sung, and again, it's based on this incredible human being that changed the world of mathematics and everything from the workings of that phone. And you know,
what do you do when you have that situation? I mean, how do you talk to people about how to improve the script?
It's simple. I mean, for me, it just was very honestly. I was like, look, I don't understand anything about mathematics. It goes right over my head, and I don't think a lot of people like me will understand any of this complex equations. Why I like this is because we're talking about these two very different humans from completely different parts of the world coming together for their art, their love of this art, maths. And Hardy is, G.H. Hardy, Jeremy Irons' character, is a father figure, a bad father figure
very
to
bad.
Nugent. But you know, that's all he has. This kid, this guy from absolute poverty coming to Cambridge, stiff upper lip, stiff collar, stiff everything, just, you know,
Aspergery.
Yeah. And you've got this mentor that can't even shake his hand. It's really interesting.
So do you think that either of them had any spectrum aspects to them?
Yeah, completely.
How so?
They're functioning on such a high level that they socially... Ramanujan was more about... he couldn't connect to anyone in England. He was so homesick, and he wasn't really taken in for a long time. He faced so much... Because also his idea behind math was really abstract, and the idea of maths back in the day was rigor, you know, proofs, and he was like the Jackson Pollock of mathematicians. He was doing all these funky things with God. He was praying and meditating, come up with all these weird equations, and people didn't like that. You know, not only did the way he looked offend them, but his work offend them. Their life's work. But so was Hardy. Hardy couldn't look himself in the mirror. You know, it's really interesting characters they are. Yeah, no,
it ended up being improved then, the script.
Yeah, and it wasn't just me. You know, Matt's a really receptive, collaborative director, and Jeremy's just, you know, you just give him anything to say and it'll sound like gold afterwards, you know. Yeah.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Have you been using a sort of rigorous selection method all along, or did you learn some lessons in terms of when you don't use it, what happens?
Yes, that's exactly it. When you don't use it, or you don't trust your gut. I'm always using it, but when you don't trust your gut, and sometimes you don't know, you know, like when I came out of Slumdog, I did this film, The Last Airbender, and on paper it's everything you would, you know, a young actor would want to do. I love martial arts. It had all of that. I love the cartoon. It was M. Night Shyamalan, Frank Marshall, you know, producing. Andrew Lesnie, God, you know, rest in peace, who did all the Lord of the Rings. And you're like, God, this is a great project. But, you know, I got swallowed up in the process. I was over my was well out of my element, and I couldn't do it. And I recognized that very early on. But such as those big machines.
And you learn.
Yeah, you learn. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's the other thing. You've made a number of movies now. You've got what they call skills.
I don't know.
You always did. You always had you were the star actor when you were young, but it's still, you can always get better, right?
Yeah, always, absolutely. Yeah, ideas to be open, huh?
What's next?
I just got back from India last week. I'm in the process of filming this project called Hotel Mumbai. It's about the Taj attacks in 2008. These terrorists went into the Taj Hotel and actually other places in India. And they killed so many people, and it was a 3-day siege at the Taj Hotel. And it's a very harrowing story. And it's very relevant and actually also incredibly triumphant when you think about it. There's these staff members. Hotels are fascinating places because the whole plethora of society comes there. From the rich Russian who has his yacht on out on the water there, who's coming in for dinner, and the young man who's pouring in Blue Label, who's a Johnny Walker Blue Label, who's actually from the slums. The waiter who can't even afford a whole year's wages to buy a glass of that. All of that, they come together and they face this terror.